Chapter 25:19. I see. All right then. Fengjiu shrugged as if saying, since you don't want it, I won't care. When will you go back? Xianyuan Mose suppressed the erotic image in his mind and asked calmly. Well, besides Zhujunyang, who is recuperating in the mansion, my brother said that the Qiao family's people are coming to seek medical treatment. So, we can go back after this matter is settled. As she spoke, she thought for a moment and continued, it should be around half a month or so. That's good. We can take advantage of this time to have a good rest and recuperate before going home. I heard from Rin Xiang that you sent someone to the Cool Breeze gang? Oh? He sent you a message? So fast? Hui Lang and Ying Yi are in contact with him, so they know. He hadn't been back for long and hadn't seen Rin Xiang yet, so he naturally didn't know what was going on over there. However, Grey Wolf and Ying Yi were aware of all these big and small matters, so they had told him on the way. However, they only said that it was a very outstanding man, but did not know his identity. Do you remember the Temple of Dark Night? That man is the Lord of the Temple of Dark Night. I don't know what he is up to, but he came to my side. She paused for a moment before continuing. There were too many things going on recently, so I didn't have the time to keep an eye on him, so I sent him to Rin Xiang. Speaking of this, she could not help but laugh. He will suffer in that place. Back then, Hui Lang went to Rin Xiang's place and came back more obedient. Hearing this, Xianyuan Mose's eyes flashed. His gaze fell on Fengjiu, who was dressed in red and had a beautiful face. She was always so dazzling, like the stars in the sky shining brightly. Coupled with her ability and her carefree personality, it was hard not to fall for her as long as she had interacted with people. She, who possessed boundless charm, was the only one who didn't know how attractive she was. Perhaps the Lord of the Temple of Dark Night was attracted to her, so he tried to get close to her. But, who would dare to covet his woman? How dare he have designs on his woman? Let's see if he won't play him to death. Leng Shuang. Fengjiu, who was playing with the child, suddenly called out. His voice carried the aura of spiritual power. Although his voice was not loud, it could clearly be heard outside. Although Leng Shuang had left, he didn't go too far away. When he heard Fengjiu's voice, he walked in from outside. Master. Leng Shuang, Hauer has been eating his fingers. He might be hungry. Go heat up some goat's milk and I'll feed him, Fengjiu said. Yes, sir. Leng Shuang turned around and left. Seeing this, Xianyuan Mose stood up and said, I just remembered that I have something to deal with. You feed the child first. I'll come over later. Okay. She nodded. After watching him leave, she continued to play with the child. After returning to the Ling residence, Xianyuan Mose sat down in the study and flipped through the documents on the table. After a while, he put down the documents, spread out a piece of paper, ground the ink, and wrote something on the paper. At the same time, he ordered, Ying Yi, go and call Hui Lang for me. Yes, sir. Ying Yi answered and left quietly. Not long after, Hui Lang came in from outside. Master, you were looking for me? Chapter 25:20. Send this to Rin Xiang. He folded the piece of paper he had written and handed it to Hui Lang. Hearing that it was for Rin Xiang, Hui Lang quickly received it and asked, Master, should I send it now? Or should I send it tomorrow? He did not know what the instructions were. Was it urgent? Go now. Xianyuan Mose's low voice slowly drifted out. He leaned back in his chair and said, Have him do as this lord has instructed. If there is even the slightest mistake, this lord will hold him accountable. Yes. Grey Wolf hurriedly responded. He was curious, but he didn't dare to ask more. He just bowed and left first. After not returning for a long time, Xianyuan Mose took care of some matters in the Ling residence. He worked until the sky darkened. Ying Yi watched from the shadows. Seeing that he was not prepared to stop, he walked out from the shadows, Master, the ghost doctor has sent Ling Shuang over to ask when Master will finish. The ghost doctor is waiting for you to eat. Hearing this, Xianyuan Mo stopped what he was doing. He raised his head and looked outside. It's this late? He stood up and patted his robes. Tidy up the things on the table and tidy them up. Yes. Yingyi complied and waved for someone to tidy up the table. In the Feng manner, Zhuojun Yu pushed Zhuojun Yang to the front yard and was talking with Fengjiu. I have done as you said during this period of time. Jun Yang has been recovering very quickly and can already walk on his own. It's just that it won't be for long. Zhuojun Yu told her about his younger brother's legs. Before he finished, he asked, I heard that the old man was injured? Is his injury serious? Did he come back with you this time? Jun Yang's legs can be healed slowly. There's no need to rush. They will recover. She smiled at the two of them before her gaze landed on Zhuojun Yu. She continued, as for the old man, his injuries aren't light either. When I returned, he was recuperating in the cave abode. I don't think he'll leave the mountain for a while. Junyang, I'll give you another prescription tomorrow. You can continue to use it. Don't worry, we'll all be going home soon. You guys can stay here, there's no need to rush home. She patted Zhuojunyang, who was sitting in the wheelchair. Zhuojunyang nodded. Yes. Thank you, Sister Feng. I understand. From the corner of his eye, Zhuojunyue saw a figure walking in from the outside. He said to Fengjiu, Then we won't disturb you. He cupped his hands and retreated. When he pushed Junyang past Xianyuan Mo's, he nodded at him and walked past him. You came? You're done with work? She smiled and looked at Xianyuan Mo's, who was walking in. Yes. He nodded and said to Ling Shuang, who was waiting at the side, Serve the food and wine. He then sat down next to Fengjiu. Seeing Fengjiu looking at him with his face in his hands, he asked, Where's the child? He's asleep. She looked at him with a smile. Do you want to hold him? No. He said straightforwardly. He didn't give birth to him. He wasn't interested. Hearing this, Fengjiu couldn't help but laugh. So you don't like children? Then are we going to have children in the future? Chapter 25-21. After Ling Shuang led the servants to serve the food and wine, she bowed and retreated. Xianyuan Mo's picked up the wine jug and poured 2 cups of wine, then handed one to her. I've been away for more than a year, and there wasn't a single moment when I wasn't thinking about finishing my business and returning as soon as possible. I've encountered a lot of things while you weren't around. Especially the year when I was transported to the floating land. It was even more unexpected. She smiled. Although I encountered a lot of trouble, my strength also increased. In the end, I even subdued so many cultivators and obtained the floating land. Fortune and misfortune are indeed interdependent. Xianyuan Mo's took a sip of wine and said, You were lucky that the 4 immortal emperors helped you. Otherwise, it would have been difficult for you to reclaim the floating land with your strength. However, it was also a sign of goodwill from the 4 immortal emperors. After all, with your heaven-defying talent, who knows what you'll become in the future? Fengjiu chuckled. The world says that I'm a genius. You also say that my talent is heaven-defying. However, I feel that I'm still far inferior to you in terms of talent. His strength surprised her every single time. Every single time, there was a feeling of pleasant surprise and incredulity. Hearing her praise, he seemed to be in a good mood. The corners of his lips curled up. His deep eyes fell on her beautiful face. He said in a low and magnetic voice, If I'm not strong, how can I protect you? As a man, especially Fengjiu's man, how could he be weak? He had no desire to become the overlord of the world or the king of the world. He only wanted to stay by her side and protect her when she needed his protection. Therefore, even if he didn't have the ambition to rule the world, he would still improve his strength. This was for no other reason than to protect the people he wanted to protect. The two chatted in the courtyard while drinking wine. They enjoyed the rare tranquility and seclusion. It had been a long time since the two of them chatted like this. It wasn't until the night deepened that the two tipsy people went to their room. In the bedroom, Lung Shuang had already ordered people to prepare hot water for the two of them to bathe. After the door was closed, Lung Shuang also retreated to the courtyard. He held her waist with one hand and looked at her slightly drunk face that was flushed red like a peach blossom. Her tender and moist red lips made his eyes gradually turn dark. The hand around her waist also began to move erratically. "Aju, let me help you take off your clothes and bathe." His voice was low and hoarse, carrying a hint of seduction as it rang in her ears. His warm breath sprayed on her ear. Feng Jiu shrank her neck slightly and rubbed her head in his arms. She glanced at him with half-closed eyes and a little drunkenly. She chuckled, and a lazy and smiling voice came out of her mouth. "You want to help me take off my clothes? No, it's better if I help you take it off." She threw herself into his arms and wrapped her arms around his waist. Her slender hands groped around his waist as she murmured, Where's your belt?" "Here." He took her hand to his belt and said in a low and magnetic voice, "Since a Jew wants to help me take off my clothes, then help me bathe." Chapter 25-22. Feng Jiu reached out and untied his belt. An outer robe fell to the ground, revealing the inner robe. With a light flick of her fingers, she took off his shirt, revealing his muscular chest and well-defined abdominal muscles. Her slender hand gently touched his strong chest, and her palm stopped at his strong abdominal muscles. She only felt a little clumsy, but the touch was extremely tempting. "Your body is strong again. These abdominal muscles are hard and clumsy. However, these well-defined abdominal muscles are very tempting. Let me touch them and want to do bad things." She showed a bad smile, the corners of her eyes were slightly raised, and her fingers gently stroked his abdominal muscles. When he heard this, the light in Xianyuan Mo's eyes deepened. He allowed her mischievous hands to caress his hand. "Oh? What else can you do?" There was a little expectation in his tone and eyes. "Look at you. Are you looking forward to me doing something bad to you?" Looking at his expression, she couldn't help but pinch the flesh on his waist. However, the flesh was so strong that she couldn't pinch it at all. "I'd love to." He held her hand and pulled her hand to his trousers. "It hasn't been taken off yet." Feng Jiu glanced at his trousers from the corner of her eyes and chuckled. "I'm afraid that if I get angry, I won't be able to put out the fire. Then you'll suffer again. Even if you're not picky now, the fire has already started." His voice paused and was hoarse. "Didn't you say you'd serve me in the bath? Well, come on." She pulled his trousers and walked to the bathtub with a smile. "Don't take off your trousers first. Go into the water first." Hearing this, Xianyuan Mo's raised his eyebrows, and the corner of his mouth held a smile that was not a smile. "My body, you've seen it before. Why don't you dare to see it today?" "It's not that I don't dare to meet you, but I'm afraid that I'll get heaty." She shrugged helplessly and saw that the man standing beside the bathtub had already taken off his pants. Two long, slender, and firm legs were bare in front of her. The corner of her mouth twitched when she saw this. She glanced at a certain place and her face immediately burned. With some embarrassment, she looked elsewhere. Xianyuan Mo's curled his lips when he saw how she wanted to look but was too embarrassed to do so. He stepped into the bathtub and sat down. His deep voice was filled with seductive magnetism as he said unhurriedly, "What's more, I don't like wearing clothes while bathing." Seeing this, Feng Jiu's face, which was as red as a peach blossom, turned around and looked straight at him. He said, "If that's the case, can I start now?" These words were said with a bit of excitement. Immediately, he saw her roll up her sleeves and come to the side of the bathtub behind him. She reached out to untie his hair and her hands reached into the water. "Well." Xianyuan Mo's groaned and his body was suddenly unable to move. He was slightly surprised and asked, "Agio, what trick are you playing?" She had already sobered up after seeing this eye-catching scene. Now, she only had a trace of mischievous excitement and a little evil thought in her heart. Chapter 25-23. In the water, her slender hands were all over his body. If she wasn't touching him on the left, then she was pinching him on the right. However, Xian Yuan Mo's entire body was still leaning against the side of the tub, allowing her to do whatever she wanted. And she didn't know if it was because he was comfortable or uncomfortable, but she heard him groan softly. His half-closed eyes opened, and he looked at the Fengjiu leaning over and said, "Agio, don't mess around." "I'm not messing around." She smiled with her eyes narrowed, and a jug of wine appeared in her hand at some unknown time. She said, "How about I feed you wine?" As she spoke, she slightly raised her head, slightly opened her tender and alluring red lips, and poured the wine from the jug in her hand into her mouth. The wine overflowed from the corner of her mouth, and flowed down her beautiful snow-white neck until it disappeared into the depths of her clothes. However, the scene of the beauty drinking wine, and the wine overflowing from her lips and flowing down her snow-white neck, was very provocative. Xian Yuan Mo's, who was leaning against the side of the tub with his head slightly raised, deepened his eyes, and his gaze followed the wine down to her snow-white neck. His throat involuntarily moved up and down, and he swallowed a mouthful of saliva. He didn't know that his Agio's seductive posture was actually so charming, but this action had already ignited a fire in his body, and this fire rushed to a certain place below his abdomen, but he couldn't find an outlet to vent it. At this moment, he finally understood why she said she had to be on guard. So, it was like this. At this moment, he saw her bend down, and that peerlessly beautiful face was suffused with a peach blossom blush as she slowly approached, until those tender red lips landed on his thin lips. The warm and spicy wine flowed into his mouth from her mouth, and that **** was like a naughty fairy that chased and played with him. He tasted the wine and also tasted her sweetness. When he gradually lost himself in her gentleness and passion, she suddenly retreated. "How is this wine?" She smiled like a cunning fox, looking at him with pride and slyness. "This wine is mellow and sweet, making one unable to stop." His voice was low and hoarse, and his burning gaze fell on her red lips. "Since you like it, then let's do it again." Her eyes flickered, revealing her charm. Looking at her sometimes cunning like a fox, sometimes pure like a lotus, sometimes charming and seductive, sometimes enchanting and provocative, he could not help but feel a ripple in his heart. His deep eyes looked at her with burning flames, and he called out in a hoarse voice, "Agio, don't play with me anymore. When are you going to come down and bathe with me?" He originally wanted to take a bath with her, but who knew that he had already taken off all his clothes, and she was still standing outside the bathtub, fully clothed. Inexplicably, he had a premonition that tonight, she would definitely start a fire and not be responsible for extinguishing it. "Shared a bath? I didn't want to share a bath with you." She smiled shyly and said, "Zay, I haven't told you that I'm on my period and can't take a bath." Hearing this, his expression was stunned, and he did not react for a while. Seeing his stunned expression, she could not help but chuckle. She reached out and hugged his body, drawing circles on his chest with one hand. She leaned against his ear and whispered, "But that's fine, I won't take a bath, but I definitely won't let you hold back your anger." Chapter 25-24. The door to the room was tightly shut. From time to time, there would be laughter and light snorts coming from the room. The moon in the sky seemed to know that the two people in the room were doing something shameful, so it hid in the clouds and did not come out. After an unknown amount of time, the room regained its tranquility. Not long after, a red figure walked out. "Ling Shuang, don't stand guard here. Let's go. I'll go sleep with Hao tonight." Feng Jiu's voice was light and cheerful, leaving the man in the room hanging, Lung Shuang complied and quietly followed behind her. The night gradually deepened. In the courtyard, in the side room, Xianyuan Mose, whose pressure points had been sealed, let out a sigh of relief after the pressure points were unsealed. He shook his head and scolded with a smile. What a little demon! He stood up from the water with a splash, water droplets dripping from his naked body. He stepped out of the water with his slender legs, wiped off the water droplets on his body, put on his inner clothes, and walked towards the big bed in the inner room. The large bed was empty, and there was not a single person in sight. He looked outside and shook his head. She really did throw me down to accompany that brat. He lay down on the bed, but his mind was filled with the erotic scenes of tonight. His heart couldn't help but become restless again. He took a deep breath and suppressed the restlessness in his heart. He threw away the scenes in his mind and closed his eyes to sleep. The next morning, news came from the Heavenly Pill building that a man surnamed Xiao had come to see them. When the news reached the Feng Manor, Fengjiu had not yet woken up. Thus, when Guan Shilin found out that Xiao Inua had arrived, he said to Yi Qing, "I'll go take a look. You can stay in the manor." After that, he left first. In the Heavenly Pill building, Xiao Inua sat on the first floor and drank tea. Looking at the pills placed in the Heavenly Pill house, he felt his heart tremble. He felt that it was unbelievable. Although he knew from the mouths of the people outside that every pill in the Heavenly Elixir building was a heaven-defying existence, when he personally came here and saw the pills placed on the first floor of the Heavenly Elixir building, the elixir veins, the pills that were hard to find outside, were casually placed on the first floor for people to see. His heart twitched, and he was unable to calm down for a long time. He drank his tea, but his mind was racing. He had set off the day after Guan Shilin and the others had left. He had rushed all the way here without stopping to rest. Now that he had arrived at 100 Rivers City and heard that the ghost doctor and the others had returned, he hurried to the Heavenly Pill building. Now that he was here, he was a little apprehensive. The ghost Dr. Fengjiu, such a noble and extraordinary person, would he really meet him? Would he really treat his grandfather? Although Guan Shilin had introduced him, his heart was still in turmoil. Especially after seeing the Heavenly Pill building's formation, he felt even more uncertain. Just as he was letting his imagination run wild, a deep and resounding laughter came from outside. "Ha ha 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 ha, it really is you. I didn't expect you to arrive at 100 Rivers City so quickly." Guan Shilin walked in with large strides. Before he arrived, his laughter arrived first. Hearing the voice, Xiao Inua quickly put down the teacup in his hand and stood up to greet him. Big Brother Guan. Chapter 25-25. He only saw him and did not see the ghost Dr. Fengjiu, so he could not help but feel a bit worried. "Don't worry, she'll be here a bit later." Guan Shilin smiled and patted his shoulder, asking, "Your grandfather is also here?" "Yes, I brought my grandfather here." Because he was worried that they would be delayed for too long, he had been rushing non-stop towards By River City, afraid that he would not be able to meet them if he was late. "Where are you living right now?" Guan Shilin asked. Hearing this, Xiao Inua hurriedly replied, "We have a family business branch in 100 River City. We also have a residence here in the Western Street. My grandfather and the others are currently living in a residence on the Western Street." West Street? That's very close. This Heavenly Pill building is on West Street. Which residence is it? Tell me. When Fengjiu comes later, I'll bring her over. It's a residence at the end of West Street. It's very easy to find. Just follow this road until you reach the end. After you turn a corner, you'll see the residence. It's called the Qiao residence. He smiled and said, "All right, I'll remember it. You can go back first. When she arrives, I'll bring her over." "All right, many thanks, Big Brother Guan." He gratefully bowed to him before turning around and heading towards the Qiao residence. Because they slept late last night, Fengjiu also woke up late today. After eating breakfast with Xianyuan Mose and the others, she told them that she was going out for a bit. She left the manor with Leng Hua and headed towards the Heavenly Pill building. Xiao Jiu, you're here. Guan Shilin, who had been chatting with them on the first floor, saw her come in and smiled as he walked over. I thought you wouldn't wake up until the afternoon. I've been up for a while. I played with little Hao in the manor before leaving. She smiled and asked, Is the person you were talking about here? Oh, Qiao Inua is here. She's been here since this morning. She said that she lives at the end of West Street. I wanted to wait for you and then go over with you. Hearing this, she nodded. Okay, then I'll go with you. She had Leng Hua follow her out the door, and the three of them went to the Qiao residence at the end of the street. At this moment, in the Qiao residence, Qiao Inua was sitting by the bed in the courtyard. Looking at his unconscious grandfather on the bed, he frowned and was a little worried. He had rushed all the way here, and his grandfather had been unconscious. Looking at him now, his grandfather's complexion was even worse than before. Third elder, how is grandfather's health? He asked one of the elders standing beside the bed. This was the third elder of the Qiao residence. He was proficient in medicine. Ever since his grandfather fell into a coma, he had been nursing his grandfather's body. Your complexion is a little pale. After all, you have suffered a lot on the way here. But don't worry, you will gradually recover in a few days. As the third elder spoke, he looked at Qiao Inua and hesitated before saying, What I'm more worried about is whether the ghost doctor can really wake the old master up. Hearing this, Qiao Inua said with certainty, She definitely can. You don't know this, but the pills I saw in the Heavenly Pill House this morning, and the ones on the first floor can't even compare to the ones in our Qiao family's collection. I believe that as long as the ghost doctor is willing to help, grandfather will definitely wake up. I hope so. The third elder sighed softly and glanced at the two elders beside him. Chapter 25-26. Hearing this, Qiao Inua hurriedly got up and went out to welcome them. The three elders by the bed looked at each other and left the third elder to guard the bed while the other two followed. Fengjiu, Guan Shilin, and Leng Hua were following a guard inside. Before they even entered, they could faintly hear the guard running in front of them shouting in joy. They were invited to the front hall and the servants quickly served them tea. Not long after, Qiao Inua and the two elders arrived at the front hall. Qiao Inua greets the ghost doctor and brother Guan. He stepped forward and bowed before looking at the beautiful woman in red. When he saw her, he couldn't help but be stunned. Although the rumors said that the ghost doctor had a beauty that could topple cities, seeing it with his own eyes, he knew that beauty alone couldn't describe her beauty. However, he didn't dare to look at her for too long. He was afraid that he would be rude in front of others and cause her to dislike him. You are Qiao Inua? Fengjiu's gaze was also sizing up the man in front of her. He was very young, but his actions were considered steady. Her gaze shifted away from Qiao Inua and landed on the two old men at the side. Yes, I am Qiao Inua, he replied. At this time, the two elders saw that Fengjiu was staring at them and stepped forward to bow. Greetings to the ghost doctor. We are the elders of the Qiao family. This time, we were ordered to escort the eldest young master and the old master to 100 Creek City. Fengjiu nodded slightly. Where is your old master? Bring me to see him. She stood up and said as she patted her dress. Hearing this, Qiao Inua was delighted and hurriedly said, Ghost Doctor, Brother Guan, please follow me. He led them to the backyard with the two elders following behind them. Seeing the dazzling red figure walking in front, the two elders' hearts trembled. No wonder everyone said that the ghost doctor's talent was unparalleled in the world. Her appearance and bearing were already rare in the world. Not to mention, such an outstanding woman also had powerful strength and shocking medical and alchemy skills. No matter how miraculous the rumors were, They couldn't compare to the shock brought by seeing it with their own eyes. Walking past the railing, they arrived at the backyard. Feng Jiu saw an old man waiting in front of the open door. Xiao Inua, who was walking in front, introduced the old man. "Ghost Doctor, this is the third elder of our Qiao family. Ever since my grandfather fell into a coma, the third elder has been taking care of him." "Greetings, Ghost Doctor." The third elder also stepped forward and bowed. Feng Jiu nodded and walked into the room. She came to the side of the bed and looked at the unconscious old man lying on the bed. Her eyes flashed slightly. This old man looked about the same as her grandfather before his strength had increased. They both had a head of white hair and a white beard. However, he was thin and his cheeks were sunken in. His face was haggard. She stepped forward and reached out to take his pulse. Carefully examining his body, she asked, "How long has he been in this state?" If Ghost Doctor is asking about being unconscious, then the old master should have been unconscious for about 2 years. Third elder said from the side. He looked at her and said, "These 2 years, I have been using medicine to take care of his heart. However, even with the medicine, he still hasn't woken up." Chapter 25-27. Hearing this, Guan Shilin gestured to Qiao Inua and walked out. Seeing this, Qiao Inua walked out with the other 2 elders, leaving only Ling Hua and third elder in the side room. "Help him up and take off his clothes," Feng Jiu instructed as she ran her fingers across the silver needles. Finally, she pulled out a long and thin silver needle. Ling Hua helped the old man up. With third elder's help, they removed old Master Qiao's clothes, revealing his emaciated body. Third elder watched as Feng Jiu pierced the acupuncture points on old Master Qiao's back with the silver needle. The first needle was inserted, followed by the second and third. When he saw that she was stabbing the acupuncture points on old Master Qiao's back with the silver needle, his heart instantly jumped. He wanted to stop her, but it was too late. He could only feel his heart thumping wildly. Cold sweat broke out on his forehead and even his face turned pale. However, just as he thought that something would happen if the needle pierced the acupuncture points, he saw her suddenly turn old Master Qiao around. She pressed old Master Qiao to the side of the bed and hit his chest with her palm. As soon as he spoke, old Master Qiao spat out a mouthful of blood. There were blood clots in the blood and the color of the blood was dark red. It looked as if it had been clogged in his body for a long time. Feng Jiu glanced at him and calmly retracted her gaze. She took out another silver needle. This time, her silver needle did not land on old Master Qiao's body. Instead, it pierced the top of old Master Qiao's head. Third elder did not react for a long time. He stood stiffly at the side and stared at the scene in front of him with wide eyes. Each of the silver needles was inserted into the death point, but it was also the life point. However, he had never seen such a method of inserting needles. Even though he had studied medicine for decades, he did not dare to say that he could accurately insert silver needles into the death point. One had to know that as long as there was a slight difference, the needle could really take a person's life. What made him feel even more incredulous was that the silver needles on the old master's head were gradually emitting white smoke. As the smoke rose, the old master's forehead was covered in sweat, and his originally pale face gradually became rosy. He didn't know if it was an illusion, but he seemed to have seen the old master, who had been in a coma for 2 years, frown slightly. Time passed by slowly. Feng Jiu was busy applying acupuncture and helping him circulate his qi to promote blood circulation and relax his muscles and bones, while Ling Hua was assisting beside him. Only the third elder was dumbfounded. He stood motionless at the end of the bed like a wooden man, his face full of disbelief. Yes. A muffled groan came from old Master Qiao's mouth. Third elder widened his eyes in shock, as if he could not believe that the sound he heard came from the mouth of the old Master Qiao, who had been in a coma for 2 years. After hearing the old master's groan, Fengju began to pull out the silver needles one by one. Finally, she had Ling Hua help the old master put on his shirt and helped him lie down. Then, she took the old master's pulse again and carefully examined it. On the bed, old Master Qiao's eyebrows moved slightly. Not long after, he slowly opened his eyes. He was somewhat dazed and confused as he looked at Fengju, who was dressed in red, by the bed. He did not recognize her, but he recognized Third Elder who was standing at the end of the bed. Chapter 25-28. Old Third, what's wrong with me? He already couldn't remember what was wrong with him. He only felt that his eyelids were very heavy when he opened his eyes, as if he wanted to continue sleeping. Just as Third Elder was about to speak, he heard Fengju's voice. His body is weak right now, don't waste his energy. Let him sleep for a while longer. Fengju calmly said. He took back his hand and put away the silver needles that Ling Hua had tidied up. At the same time, he hit the old man's sleep pressure point. Seeing the old man who had just opened his eyes fall asleep again, Third Elder couldn't help but ask, "Ghost Doctor, my family's old man is, after resting for a while, his body will naturally recover." She stood up and looked at him. "You've done a good job of resting his body. Then I'll leave the rest of your family's old man to you." This means that my family's old man has recovered?" he asked in disbelief. Fengju raised his eyebrows, saying, "Didn't you see that he's awake?" Hearing this, Third Elder was stunned for a while. When he came back to his senses, he exclaimed, "That's great! That's great!" He quickly walked out, wanting to tell Qiao Inua and the other two elders the good news. The door opened and everyone outside the courtyard turned around to look. They saw Third Elder walking out with an excited expression. "Eldest young master, the old master is awake, the old master is awake." He grabbed Qiao Inua's hands and said excitedly, "Just now, the old master opened his eyes and spoke. He's really awake." Hearing this, Qiao Inua and the other two elders were stunned. Then they were overjoyed. "Really? That's great, I'll go in and take a look." He quickly walked towards the side room. However, before he could enter, he saw Fengju and Ling Hua walk out. He immediately stopped. "Ghost Doctor, is my grandfather really awake? Is he really alright?" "He's awake, but his body is too weak. I've hit his sleep pressure point to let him sleep for a while. Try not to disturb him," Fengju said slowly. After he walked out of the room, he continued, "As for the later stages of recuperation, let the Third Elder handle it." Apart from Guan Shilin, who looked normal, the other members of the Qiao family were all excited. They couldn't believe it was true. "Brother, let's go back," Fengju said as he walked to Guan Shilin's side. Seeing this, Guan Shilin said to Qiao Inua, "If that's the case, we'll leave first. I'll send you guys off," Qiao Inua said as she regained her senses. She couldn't hide the excitement on her face. "No need," Fengju said as he walked out with Guan Shilin and Ling Hua. Although Fengju said that there was no need to send them off, Qiao Inua still followed them out. When they reached the main gate, he handed a space ring to Fengju. "Ghost Doctor, this is a gift prepared by my father. Although it's not something priceless, it's still a token of our sincerity. Please accept it." Seeing this, Fengju glanced at Qiao Inua. She paused for a moment before letting Ling Hua take it. At the same time, she left behind a bottle of medicine. "This is the medicine. Give it to your grandfather tonight." She handed the medicine to him before turning to leave. After returning to the courtyard, Qiao Inua repeatedly asked the Third Elder to confirm that his grandfather had really woken up. He immediately ordered someone to quickly send this news back to the main house to inform his father. Chapter 25-29. What method did you use? That Qiao family's elder woke up in an instant? Guan Shilin was a bit curious. A person who had been in a coma for 2 years was actually able to wake up in an instant? I used silver needles to treat him and opened up his blocked meridians. Naturally, he woke up. Fengjiu gently smiled. However, after being in a coma for 2 years, he still needs to be carefully nursed back to health. It will be very difficult for him to return to his previous peak in a short amount of time. Hearing this, Guan Shilin smiled. No wonder people outside say that you have the ability to bring the dead back to life. Tell me, is there anyone in this world who can compare to you in terms of medical skills? The world is so big. How do you know that there is no one who can compare to me? The corners of her lips curled up slightly as she looked forward. Perhaps in other places there are also people who are extremely proficient in medical skills. The two slowly walked while chatting as they headed towards the Heavenly Pill building. Outside the city, Mo Chen, dressed in white like an immortal, was flying over on his flying sword. When he reached the city gates, he put away his flying sword and slowly walked through the gate. This time, he did not directly go to the Heavenly Pill building or the Feng Manor. Instead, he returned to his home. Over the next few days, Fengjiu and Xianyuan Mose busied themselves with taking care of the matters they had left behind. As for Ning Lang and the others, after staying in the Feng Manor for 2 days, they bid farewell to Fengjiu and the others. They were also preparing to return home to take a look. After returning home, they would go to the former Phoenix dynasty to find Fengjiu and the others. Thus, after they left, the Feng Manor became cold and cheerless. On the other side, at Renxiang's Cool Breeze building, Yi Shuran, who had been tormented for many days, was filled with a sinister aura. He was the dignified temple master of the Temple of Darkness, yet he had been tormented for so long. Every time he thought of this, he felt an urge to kill someone. In the courtyard of the Cool Breeze building, Renxiang was currently greeting Hui Lang. "Why have you come to my place? Aren't you at Master's side? Could it be that Master has an important task?" Renxiang looked at Hui Lang and asked. He thought that if it wasn't an important mission, he wouldn't have sent Hui Lang on this trip. However, what kind of mission did his master have for him? Hui Lang chuckled and didn't answer his question. Instead, he asked, "How is that Ishiran doing now? TSK, what do you think?" He glanced at Hui Lang and said with a faint smile, "You've been here before. How could you not know how he is?" I'm just curious." Hui Lang smiled embarrassedly. "Of all the people Ishiran could provoke, you say? Why did he have to provoke the ghost doctor? Who was the ghost doctor?" "That's our master's woman, our madam. How dare he provoke her with such a status? I reckon he's tired of living." Renxiang glanced at him and said, "Let's get down to business. What did master send you here for?" Hearing this, Hui Lang smiled strangely. "There must be a task for me to be sent here." He took out the thing his master had given him and handed it over. "Master sent me here because he has an important task for you. However, because master didn't have a watermark on it, he just wrote it down and handed it to me. So, I couldn't help but open it." Renxiang chuckled. "You even dare to ask about the secret order master gave me? Your guts have grown." As he spoke, he reached out to take the thing he handed over. Chapter 25-30. Of course. How can this handwriting be wrong? Hui Lang grinned. That Ishiran is obviously a wolf with wild ambitions by sticking close to the ghost doctor. Tell me, if master doesn't take care of him, who will he take care of? Renxiang glanced at the note in his hand before putting it away. "I understand." He stood up and asked, "When are you going back?" "I'll return after taking a look at Ishiran." Hui Lang then added, "Oh right, master will be accompanying the ghost doctor back in a few days. Feng Yi and Zhao Yang, those 2 brats, are still alive, so the ghost doctor plans to bring them back. Also, it seems like Guan Shilin is preparing to marry Yi Qing. I reckon they won't be back so soon." "Amen, I understand." He looked at Hui Lang and said, "Follow me." Hui Lang grinned and followed after him. Actually, He was quite curious to know what Ishiran had become after coming here. He followed Ren Xiang to the second floor of the Cool Breeze abode and pushed open the door to the loft. When Hui Lang saw the figure sitting on the reclining chair and drinking wine, he couldn't help but grin. However, the moment his smile widened, he glared and shouted, "Why didn't you tie him up? You're just going to leave him here like this? Aren't you afraid he'll escape?" Inside the room, Ishiran wasn't tied up. Only his spiritual aura was sealed, so he was as inconspicuous as an ordinary person. However, his outstanding appearance and aura, as well as the noble aura that he exuded, caused others to overlook the fact that he was simply wearing a thin veil. He was drinking wine in the room. His carefree manner made it seem like he wasn't trapped here, but rather the owner of this place. It was no wonder Hui Lang shrieked when he saw him. After all, he had been tied up back then. Ishiran sipped his wine and coldly glanced at Hui Lang. "Fengjiu sent you here? You're thinking too much. The ghost doctor already can't remember who you are, so why would he send me here?" Hui Lang snorted and walked in. "I'll tell you the truth. I came here today on my master's orders. Let me tell you, it's best not to provoke the ghost doctor again. You can't afford to provoke her." Ishiran narrowed his eyes and stared at Hui Lang. He asked, "Xianyuan Mose? He's back?" "That's right." Hui Lang crossed his arms and smiled to say, "You're here, you don't know, right? Some time ago, the people of the Demon Clan attacked the Nebula Immortal sect, and the Ghost Doctor fought with the Demon Lord. In the end, my master just happened to rush back, and even the Demon Lord was heavily injured by him. You should remember your own strength." Ishiran didn't say anything and merely lowered his eyes. It was unknown what he was thinking. "All right, I'm leaving too," Hui Lang said and looked at Ren Xiang. Ren Xiang smiled. "Just tell me if you want me to send you off. Why are you looking at me?" He walked out and said, "Let's go. I'll send you off." "That's more like it." Hui Lang grinned. "Actually, I wanted to drink a few cups with you, but I was worried the journey would take too long, so forget it. I'll treat you when I have the chance in the future." Chapter 25-31. What's wrong? Ren Xiang frowned slightly and looked in the direction of the Cool Breeze gang. He could faintly hear the sounds of fighting. "That Ishiran has been rescued by someone," the guard said, not daring to look at them. He lowered his head. Hearing this, Ren Xiang was startled but didn't say anything. At the side, Hui Lang cried out in surprise, "What? Rescued by someone?" He glared at Ren Xiang with an inquiring expression. "There's no use looking at me." Ren Xiang spread his hands. "Ishiran is the temple master of the Temple of Darkness. How long do you think my Cool Breeze gang can keep him here? Although I've been watching him very carefully, I really don't know when he notified his people to come and save him." "Then what do? We haven't done what Master specifically instructed us to do. Now that he's escaped, how do you think I should explain this to Master?" "Just tell him the truth," Ren Xiang said. "Master mainly wants him to not get close to the Ghost Doctor. I think that with your warning just now, he should know what to do." "All right then. I'll go back and tell Master. Anyway, he escaped from your place, so it's your fault." He patted his shoulder and said, "I'm leaving." With that, he left on his sword. 100 Rivers City, Nayland family. Emochen had already returned for a few days. However, he didn't go out. He didn't even go to the Feng residence or the Heavenly Pill building. No one knew what he was thinking. In the Heavenly Pill building, Fengjiu, who was handling affairs, closed the documents on the table and stretched. Perhaps because he had sat for too long, his shoulders were sore. Thus, he called Bai Qingqing over. "Massage my shoulders." He lay on the soft couch in the pavilion and ordered Bai Qingqing, who was standing beside him. "Yes." Bai Qingqing replied softly. She was now 100% loyal to Fengjiu, and had long put down her airs as the Bai family's young miss. In the Heavenly Pill building, she had been promoted from a servant girl who did odd jobs on the first floor to Fengjiu's personal servant girl. Bai Qingqing massaged her sore shoulders and stretched her back. She lay on the soft couch and couldn't help but close her eyes, feeling a little sleepy. Master, my sister had someone send some sugar water and snacks over. They're still warm. Do you want to eat now? Leng Hua came in with the food and placed it on the table. Let's leave it for now. I'll let Qingqing help me loosen my bones first. She lay on the soft couch and didn't even open her eyes. Master, I heard that young Master Emochun has been back for a few days. Leng Hua said as he arranged the things in the room. Fengjiu was a little surprised when he heard this. He's back? Then why haven't I seen him in the past few days? I also find it a little strange. These past few days, he hasn't come to the Heavenly Pill building, nor has he gone to the Feng Manor. It seems that ever since he returned, he has been staying in the Nalan Manor and hasn't left. Leng Hua said warmly. He said that his master asked him to go back this time. Something must have happened, she said, turned her head slightly, looked at Leng Hua and said, We will leave in 2 or 3 days at most. You go to the Nalan Manor later. Tell him about it and ask him if he's in any trouble. Chapter 25-32. Hearing this, Fengjiu chuckled. Don't worry. In the future, the matters of the Heavenly Pill House will be handed over to you. Also, there is a large construction project on the floating land. I will let them build a town and a market there. When the time comes, it will be a top sky city. After loosening her bones for a while, Fengjiu motioned for Bai Qingqing to stop. She got up from the soft couch and saw a lot of sugar water on the table. She said to Bai Qingqing, Just scoop a bowl out and put it here for me. Take the rest and share it with your 2 brothers. Hearing this, Bai Qingqing was stunned. She looked at Fengjiu with some surprise and quickly thanked her. Thank you, master. Then she stepped forward and scooped a bowl out and placed it on the table. She took the rest away. Seeing Bai Qingqing leave, Leng Hua smiled. Master treats her so well. Am I not good to you? Fengjiu smiled and motioned. Sit down. Eat with me. Yes. Leng Hua responded gently and sat down without refusing. She has been here for a long time. You have all seen her behavior. When I came back recently, I saw that she was indeed not as arrogant as before. She is willing to do things honestly. Naturally, I will not push her away. She picked up a snack and ate it while saying, Her talent is not bad. As long as she is loyal, it is not impossible to cultivate her. Master is right. Leng Hua responded and also picked up his chopsticks to eat. The 2 of them didn't talk about eating, so they didn't speak. Instead, they chatted casually as if they were at home. When they finished eating, Fengjiu stood up and said, I haven't seen Mo Zhe and Hao for the past few days. I'll go back to the manor first. You guys look after this place. Yes, master, don't worry. Leng Hua stood up and walked out with her. Not long after Fengjiu returned home, Leng Hua also went to the Nalan family. After all, Mo Chen's friendship with them was not shallow. In the past, when the Heavenly Dan building encountered any problems, they would often help them. Leng Hua had never heard of their master not coming to visit. Therefore, he felt that it was reasonable for his master to be worried that Mo Chen might encounter some difficulties. Furthermore, his master was about to make a trip home and would not be back for a while. If Mo Chen really encountered some difficulties, perhaps his master and the Yama Lord would be able to help him out. After entering Nalan Manor, Leng Hua was led by the housekeeper to Mo Chen's courtyard. Eldest young master, Steward Ling of the Heavenly Pill building is here. The steward called out from outside. In the courtyard, Mo Chen was reading a book. When he heard this, his eyes flickered and he called out, Come in! The steward motioned for Leng Hua to go in, and then he withdrew first. Young Master Mo Chen. Leng Hua came in and bowed to him. You came to find me. Did something happen to your master? Chen closed the book in his hand and asked. No. Ling Hua said in a warm voice. He smiled and said, It was my master who ordered me to come over and inform young Master Machen that we might be making a trip back to the Phoenix Dynasty in the next 2 or 3 days. Moreover, we shouldn't be able to return in a short period of time. My master said that if young master encountered any difficulties that he couldn't solve, she would be happy to help. Chapter 25-33. All right, then I'll go back first. Ling Hua nodded with a slight smile. He bowed and left first. After watching him leave, Chen withdrew his gaze and returned it to the book in his hand. However, this time, he was unable to read the contents of the book. Inside the Feng Manor, Fengjiu was playing with little Hao. Seeing little Feng Yi come over, she said, Weren't you cultivating with Yang Yang? Why did you come here? I've been cultivating for a long time, so I came out to play. I'll go back in a bit. Little Feng Yi smiled and squinted his eyes. He moved closer to Fengjiu and said, Xiao Jiu, the medicine I told you about last time, you still haven't given it to me. Are you in a hurry? Fengjiu glanced at him. What do you need that medicine for at such a young age? Also, when you come back this time, I will be sending you back to the mountains. You won't have a chance to go out and wander around. Being young is useful. We've been in danger many times on the road, and it's all thanks to those medicines. But Yang Yang and I don't have any more now, so we wanted to ask you for more to protect ourselves. He tugged at her sleeve. Just give us some more. Seeing this, Fengjiu placed little Hao back into the cradle. Only then did she take out a large bag of things from her space. However, when little Feng Yi reached out to take it, she slapped him. Go, call Yang Yang over as well. You give it to me and I give it to Yang Yang. It's the same. Feng Yi said with an innocent and obedient face. Hearing this, Fengjiu smiled and reached out to pinch his face. Is that so? It's the same? But I don't believe you. Quickly go and call Yang Yang over as well. His cheeks hurt from being pinched. Feng Yi took a deep breath and rubbed his cheek. He pouted and said, I'm your little uncle. How many times have I told you not to pinch my cheeks? Don't pinch my cheeks, but you pinch my cheeks again and again. When I go back, I must tell my father and mother. Fengjiu chuckled and reached out to flick his forehead. Little fox, it's useless to tell anyone. If I want to pinch you, even your father and mother can't stop me. While speaking, she once again reached out to rub his face. Feng Yi exclaimed and quickly jumped away. He covered his face with his small hands and looked at Fengjiu defensively. Why are you still standing there like a fool? Hurry up and call Yang Yang over. You don't want these treasures anymore? She patted the big bag on the table and looked at him with a smile. I'll go right away. As Feng Yi said, he quickly turned around and ran to the small courtyard. He was going to pull Zhao Yang together. After watching her leave, Feng Yi played with the child again. After a while, he heard Feng Ye's voice again. She's coming, Yang Yang is coming. Feng Yi pulled Zhao Yang and hurried back. The two came to her. Feng Ye's eyes were fixed on the big bag on the table, while Zhao Yang called out, Sister Feng, and sit. She motioned for the two to sit at the table and then opened the big bag. After opening it, she saw some small medicine bottles. Each bottle had words written on it. There were also some medicine powder wrapped in paper with words written on it to make it easier to distinguish. Chapter 25-34. Yang Yang, this time I've also prepared the elixirs for you. When you come back from the mansion, I'll send you back to the mountain directly. I won't bring you back here, so you have to remember these things and know how to use them. Fengjiu explained the use of each elixir as well as its purpose and effect to him as she spoke. Zhao Yang also listened carefully. In the end, after listening to her, he put those things into the space and said, Thank you, Sister Feng. I know. I'll make good use of these elixirs. Well, Yang Yang is so obedient. She smiled and rubbed Zhao Yang's head. When she saw that the little fellow's ears were red and his face was a little uncomfortable, she couldn't help but chuckle and say, although Feng Yi is smart, he doesn't cultivate as hard as you. Sometimes you can't let him do whatever he wants when you're by his side. You have to persuade him more, okay? Yes, Yang knows. He nodded and looked at Feng Yi, who was lying on the table and counting the bottles. Fengjiu followed his gaze and also looked at Feng Yi. She gently pinched his nose and said, "These things can only be used for emergencies and critical moments. You have to remember them well. Don't use them unless you have to. You have to listen to Yang. I'm the master. I won't listen to him." Feng Yi snorted softly and reached out to take the elixirs. As he put them into his arms, he said, "Moreover, Master also said that Yang's physique is very suitable for cultivation. He will cultivate much faster than me. My strength is not as good as his now, and it is estimated that I won't be as good as him in the future." Hearing this, Fengjiu touched his head and said softly, "Feng Yi, you have to remember that strength is not used to compete with your family. It is used to protect your family and the important people in your life. Now you have to cultivate more while you are still young. When you become stronger in the future, what our family has experienced before will not happen again." Feng Yi was not an ignorant child. When he heard this, his heart moved. He raised his head and glanced at Feng Jiu, then nodded and said, "I know, I will definitely cultivate well. Little Jiu, in the future, it will be my turn to protect you and the family." "Okay," she replied with a smile and reached out to hug him. She fiercely kissed him, but in return, Feng Yi cried out shyly, "Don't kiss me! Don't kiss me! I'm your little uncle. I'm a man." After he put away the elixirs, he broke free from Fengjiu's arms and slipped down from her arms. He quickly stepped back and waved to Zhao Yang. Yang, come on. Let's go back. Sister Feng, we're going back." Zhao Yang responded and then left with Feng Yi. "What a heartless little fellow. You took so many things from me and left just like that. How heartless." She sighed softly, her tone carrying a hint of a smile. "Who's heartless?" A voice suddenly came and scared her. Before she turned around, she saw a pair of big hands around her shoulders. "I heard that you came back early today, so I put down the things at hand and came back. You scared me." Chapter 25-35. You can leave the rest to the people below. He held her hand and played with it repeatedly. A dark light flashed across his deep eyes. No one knew what he was thinking. Fengjiu saw that he seemed a little absent-minded. She turned her head slightly to look at him and asked, "Is there something on your mind?" Xianyuan Mo's met her quiet gaze. The corners of his lips curled up slightly, revealing a smile. "Nothing." Seeing that he did not say anything, Fengjiu did not ask further. She could tell if there was something wrong. However, since he did not say anything, it should be because he did not want her to worry. But, what made him so absent-minded? "Now that we have nothing to do, I'll take you to see the sunset," Xianyuan Mo said. He held her hand and stood up. In the next moment, a flying sword appeared under their feet and took her to the sky. Fengjiu leaned in his arms. The two of them flew against the wind. The light wind blew and their clothes fluttered. They swept past the city and headed out of the city. The two of them flew on their swords all the way until they arrived at the peak of a relatively high mountain. Only then did they jump off the flying sword. The sunset will not be blocked here. Moreover, it is also very beautiful to see the stars in the night sky from here, Xianyuan Mo said. He held her hand and led her to a four-legged pavilion in front of them. "There's actually a pavilion here?" Fengjiu was a little surprised. Seeing this pavilion on the peak of the mountain, it gave off a feeling of being detached from the world. She looked down the mountain. Not only was there a pavilion here, there were also rest pavilions at regular intervals. Moreover, all the way down, the stairs on the mountain road were very clear. On the stairs, there were groups of 3 to 5 people going up the mountain. There were also some resting in the rest pavilions. The last time I passed by here, I saw that there was a place to enjoy the scenery here, so I wanted to bring you here. He walked into the pavilion and sat down. Then, he took out some wine from his space. Seeing this, Fengjiu walked up to the table with a smile and sat down. Looks like you came here with a purpose. It's rare that we have the leisure to enjoy the scenery. Naturally, we can't let this good time go to waste. Xianyuan Mose helped her pour a glass of wine, then picked up the glass in front of him and took a sip. The two of them looked at the evening sky as the sun slowly set. Perhaps it was because they were on high ground, but the setting sun seemed to be right in front of them. It was as if they could reach out and touch it. Fengjiu rested her chin on one hand and felt the cool night breeze caressing her face. She watched the setting sun slowly show a dazzling orange color, just like the salted egg yolk in the salted duck egg that made people drool. The speed at which the sun set was very fast, as if it had moved down the mountain in the blink of an eye. As the sun set, the sky gradually darkened. As the sky darkened and night came, the temperature on the mountain peak dropped significantly. The night wind blew, bringing with it a slight chill. The two of them did not speak. They only enjoyed this moment of tranquility and seclusion. Let's wait a little longer. The stars will come out. It should be very close to here to see the stars, Fengjiu said. He took a sip of wine and looked at him sitting in front of him. He felt that it was very pleasing to the eye. Chapter 25:36. The two of them drank wine and chatted about some interesting things. As the night deepened, they watched the stars twinkling in the night sky. Behind the clouds, the crescent moon also faintly appeared, sprinkling moonlight down. A beautiful scenery, a beauty under the moonlight, should have been very pleasant and pleasant. However, when a panicked cry for help faintly entered the two's ears, the two who were chatting and laughing paused for a moment. They put down the wine cups in their hands and looked down at the pitch-black mountain at the same time. There weren't many people who went up the mountain to watch the sunset. After the sun set, most of them didn't stay on the mountain. Only a few faint lights could be seen in the mountain, as if someone was holding a lamp in their hand. The sobbing cries for help came from the faint light at the foot of the mountain. Why would there be a cry for help in this place so late at night? And it seems to be a woman? Fengjiu said as his gaze fell on the cry for help halfway up the mountain. Let Tun Yun take a look. Xianyuan Mose said as he indifferently withdrew his gaze. Yes. Fengjiu nodded and called out, Tun Yun. Tun Yun leapt out of the space as soon as he said that. He glanced at the two of them before his gaze fell on Fengjiu. Master. Tun Yun, there's someone crying for help halfway up the mountain. Go and see what's going on. She softly ordered. Yes. Tun Yun replied. His robust figure shot out like a bolt of lightning. With a whoosh, a wind blade flashed past. In the next moment, he disappeared into the pitch-black night sky. The night wind blew past, bringing with it not only a trace of coldness but also a despairing cry for help halfway up the mountain. She rested her face on one hand and listened to the voice, saying, There are very few people in this remote place, especially at night. If there's really danger, I'm afraid that no one will come to save them even if they cry for help. I really don't know why they would come to such a remote place if they don't even have the ability to protect themselves. Hearing this, Xianyuan Mose chuckled. Perhaps there are men accompanying you. However, not every man has my strength, and not every woman is like you. Fengjiu chuckled. That's true. As the two of them spoke, they heard that the cries had not stopped. They could not help but feel puzzled. At this distance, Tun Yun should have arrived. Why is that woman still crying for help? Xianyuan Mose took a deep breath and glanced around. The corners of his lips curled up slightly. Perhaps the devouring cloud felt that it was beyond saving. Feng Jiu turned her head and saw Tun Yun darting out of the dense forest. It didn't take long for him to arrive in front of her. She looked at him strangely and asked, "Tun Yun, why are you back? Could it be that they haven't found the person who called for help?" Swallow Cloud was stunned for a moment and then he said, "Master, I've found it. But didn't you ask me to go take a look? So I went to see what was going on and came back to tell you." Hearing this, Feng Jiu was also stunned. It was as if she had not expected him to misunderstand. After a long while, she recovered her senses. She looked at him with a strange expression and asked, "Then what did you see? What's the situation?" Xianyuan Mose, who was sitting to the side, smiled when he saw this. He didn't pay any attention to the man and beast, and continued to pour wine for himself. Chapter 25:37. The corner of Feng Jiu's mouth twitched. Hearing the screams, he waved his hand and said, "Go, quickly save that woman first." "Yes," Tun Yun said and scurried back. Watching Tun Yun leave, Feng Jiu could not help but hold his forehead and sigh. This is the first time I've seen Tun Yun understand my words like this. Also, there are rogue cultivators in this kind of place? This is really unexpected. This is how the world is. Demonic cultivators are not the only demons who kill without batting an eyelid. Even righteous cultivators have times when they are tempted by women and wealth. Xianyuan Mose spoke slowly. When he heard the cries for help stop, followed by a few shrill screams, he knew that Tun Yun had saved the woman. He poured a cup of wine for her and said, "That woman should be glad that she met you here tonight." Not long after, Tun Yun arrived at the pavilion with the unconscious woman in his mouth. He tossed the woman in front of Feng Jiu. "Master, there's a man too. I'll go get him as well." With that, Tun Yun left again. Feng Jiu's mouth twitched. Looking at the unconscious woman lying on the ground with her clothes disheveled, she glanced at Xianyuan Mose across the table. Unexpectedly, he was looking straight ahead at the starry night sky. He did not even glance at the woman. She stood up and walked forward to check on the woman. She saw that Tun Yun had already come over with another man in its mouth. The man's face was pale with fright. His limbs were flailing about but could not touch the ground. The clothes on his back were in Tun Yun's mouth. "Master, the other one is here too." After Tun Yun threw the man down, it squatted outside the pavilion and lay down. Its eyes were fixed on Feng Jiu and the Yama Lord in the pavilion. Feng Jiu came to the woman's side and squatted down. He said to the man who was standing there in a daze, "Take off your coat and put it on her." "Yes, yes." The man stared at them fearfully, as well as the Tun Yun lying outside the pavilion. With trembling hands, he took off his coat and handed it to Feng Jiu, who was squatting in front of the unconscious woman to check on her injuries. Just as Feng Jiu was about to hand over his coat, the man's expression suddenly changed. His eyes flashed with murderous intent as he drew a dagger from his sleeve and stabbed it towards Feng Jiu's dantian at lightning speed. Almost at the same time, Feng Jiu raised his hand and struck out with his palm. However, the unconscious woman suddenly jumped up and stabbed her sharp dagger towards Feng Jiu's dantian. No matter how fast Feng Jiu reacted, she did not expect these two to attack her. Moreover, they were so fast that even Tun Yun and Xianyuan Mose could not stop them in time. "Master!" Jiu! Swallowing Cloud pounced forward, revealing a ferocious expression as he lunged forward to bite the man. However, in the next instant the man released his aura. He was actually a peak celestial sage expert. When the woman was about to attack again with her dagger, Feng Jiu was already protected in Xianyuan Mose's arms. At this moment, his face was gloomy. He raised his hand and struck out with his palm. The sharp wind from his palm carried a murderous aura and sent the woman flying dozens of meters away. Chapter 25:38. Feng Jiu, you'd better hand over the things that don't belong to you. Otherwise, this will never end. As soon as his voice fell, the figure suddenly retreated as if he was about to escape. However, how could Xianyuan Mose let the man who injured Fengjiu leave alive? Trying to escape? Leave your life behind. A cold voice came from Xianyuan Mose's mouth. He ordered Fengjiu to stand in the pavilion as he prepared to kill the man. However, just as he chased after the man for a few dozen meters, he suddenly saw the man's lips curl into a sinister smile. His heart sank as he cursed inwardly. He quickly turned around and saw a dozen men in black rushing out of the pavilion. The strength of these men in black was at the peak of the immortal sage realm. Among them, there was actually an immortal emperor realm expert. When he saw this scene, his heart was filled with rage. He suddenly flashed and reached out his hand to grab the neck of the man who was trying to escape, lifting him up. Breaking your neck would be too easy for you. A cold and bloodthirsty voice sounded. He exerted force in his hand and broke the man's neck with a crack. In the next moment, he threw the man away with his palm, striking out a stream of air. Bang! With a loud bang, the body of the man who was thrown away exploded in midair, leaving behind a mess of flesh and blood. He didn't stay for a moment. Instead, he quickly rushed back to the pavilion to help. However, when he approached the pavilion, he saw that the pavilion was emitting a light visible to the naked eye. The light formed a sword formation to protect the pavilion, preventing anyone from leaving or approaching it. Damn it! When he saw the dozen men in the pavilion attacking Fengjiu alone and the wounds on Fengjiu's body, he couldn't help but release his evil aura. A powerful stream of air surged from his hands and formed a huge dragon. It opened its mouth and pounced on the sword formation in the pavilion. The two powerful streams of air and pressure collided with each other, shooting a sharp stream of air into the sky. Bang! Boom! The stream of air rushed into the sky and shattered the sword formation. At the same time, it also destroyed the pavilion. When the sword formation was destroyed, Xianyuan Mose quickly rushed to Fengjiu's side and blocked the attacks for her. When the stream of air rushed into the sky with a loud bang, some of the stronger people felt the powerful pressure and stream of air that belonged to a super expert. They couldn't help but jump onto the roof to see where the sound came from. A few old men stood together and discussed. Strange, after the demons were defeated by the ghost Dr. Fengjiu and the Yama Lord, they shouldn't be active again in such a short period of time. So, where did this commotion to come from? The aura and pressure from the explosion were extremely powerful. It seems that the person's strength is not lower than that of an immortal emperor. However, there are only a few immortal emperors on this continent. That's right. How to test it. Judging from the direction of the commotion, it seems to have come from the tallest mountain nearby. When they heard this, they looked at each other and rushed in that direction. Chapter 2539. He did not hesitate to follow. His white figure was very dazzling in the night. Du Fan and the others also quickly noticed his arrival. Young Master Emo Chen. Du Fan called out. Emo Chen's figure flashed and arrived beside him. He asked, "What happened?" "We don't know either. When we first saw the commotion, the people in the manor also saw it. They said that the Yama Lord and Master went out in the evening, and have yet to return. Now that we saw the commotion, we were afraid that something had happened to Master, so we hurried over to take a look. That's the aura of a celestial emperor. It should be Fengjiu and the others." As Emochin spoke, he glanced at the Phoenix Guards and Du Fan. He said, "Don't go over. It's a celestial emperor. If you go over, not only will you not be able to help, you'll also be a burden to her." Hearing this, Du Fan's face was filled with anxiety. The Phoenix Guards in front also stopped. "But we're worried that Master and the others." "Since you're worried, then go back to the Feng Manor and wait. Although I don't know why they're in danger, you can't help them there. The people in the manor can protect them well in case of a sneak attack from the Hu people." Emo-chan spoke in a low voice. There was a rare seriousness on his face. Listen to me. Go back and protect the manor. I'll be there for them. Hearing this, Du Fan thought for a moment, then nodded. Okay, then I'll bring them back. He gestured for the Phoenix Guards to stand behind him. Young Master Emo-chan, be careful. Okay. Emo-chan nodded. He immediately rode his sword in that direction. Is it really okay if we don't go and take a look? If something really happened to Master, wouldn't that be? What young Master Emo-chan says makes sense. Since it's a celestial emperor, we won't be able to help even if we go over. Let's go back now. You guys stay at the heaven-returning pill house and stand guard. The rest of you, follow me back to the Feng Manor and tell Guan Shilin about the situation, Du Fan said. As soon as he finished speaking, he was already tens of meters away. In the Feng Manor, Guan Shilin and the others were originally playing with little Hao in the courtyard, but who knew that they would see the scene in the sky far away? They watched from the roof until they saw Du Fan return with people. They could not help but be stunned. Why are you back? Didn't he say that he was going to check it out? What was going on over there? Is it related to Xiao Jiu and Mo's? Guan Shilin quickly stepped forward and asked. Let's talk downstairs, Du Fan said, pulling him down to the bottom of the courtyard. Ling Hua, Ling Shuang and the others all gathered around to look at him. Even the hidden guards in the manor cocked their ears to listen. I was going to go over, but I met young Master Emo-chan on the way. He said that the people fighting over there were at least celestial emperors. He said that it should be Master and Yama Lord. They might have met a strong opponent. He told us to come back first and guard the manor. He said that even if we went, we wouldn't be able to get close. Celestial emperors. Guan Shilin frowned. His expression turned cold. Why would another celestial emperor appear? Little Nine is already at the immortal emperor level, so Moze is definitely above this level. Then, other than them, as far as I know, aren't the only ones on this continent who have the strength of an immortal emperor level? Chapter 2540. Du Fan shook his head. I don't know either. Right now, we can only wait for them to return to find out what's going on. Everyone looked at each other and knew that there was no point in being anxious. They could only wait here. However, waiting was always the most difficult thing to endure. As they waited, they felt as if time had stopped. They were looking forward to their return, but there was no sign of them on the other side. The dozen or so cultivators attacking Xianyuan Mo's and Fengjiu were unable to get close to them due to the pressure they released. As a result, the dozen or so cultivators focused on attacking Tun Yun, and each of their attacks was fatal, causing Tun Yun to be covered in wounds. The Celestial Emperor Powerhouse was dealing with Fengjiu and Xianyuan Mo's. However, he couldn't hurt them at all when the two of them joined forces. Thus, he chose to retreat after being unable to win for a long time. Retreat. With the order to retreat, the cultivators wanted to retreat. However, Xianyuan Mo's was unwilling to let them go. He stared coldly at the figure who suddenly retreated more than 10 meters into the air. His killing intent was awe-inspiring. Azure Dragon. With a call, his body suddenly emitted a dazzling light. The Azure Dragon, an ancient divine beast, rushed out from his body. The enormous Azure Dragon, covered in azure scales, swayed its tail and let out a dragon's roar towards the sky. The moment the dragon's roar sounded, the sky was instantly filled with the ancient pressure of the dragon's roar. The cultivators who were about to escape stopped in midair, as if they were held in place by something. When the immortal Emperor expert saw this, he immediately turned to flee. However, no matter how fast he was, he could not outrun the Azure Dragon that flew out at the speed of light. Roar! A dragon's roar came out from the Azure Dragon's mouth. Its figure turned into a ray of azure light in midair and attacked the immortal Emperor expert with a swoosh. The aura of death rushed towards him, causing the immortal emperor's expression to change drastically. His heart skipped a beat. He instinctively turned back to look, but he only had time to see the azure dragon turn into a ray of azure light and attack him. He didn't have the time to dodge, nor did he have the time to dodge. The powerful and fierce airflow that accompanied the azure dragon let him know that once he was hit, he would die without a doubt. As a result, the moment the azure dragon arrived, he abandoned his physical body and used his nascent soul to escape. The nascent soul flew out like a meteor into the distance. It was so fast that it caught people off guard. "Just you wait. I will definitely come back." That sinister and unwilling voice came from afar, echoing in the sky for a long time. Bang! At the same time, the immortal emperor's body was penetrated by the azure light. With a loud bang, the immortal emperor's body shattered into pieces. His flesh and blood splattered in the air and sprinkled down, disappearing into the pitch-black night. Swish! The azure dragon turned in the air, and once again turned into a streak of azure light. With a whoosh, it pierced through the cultivators who were frozen in the air. These cultivators were unable to summon their nascent souls and could only watch helplessly as they were killed by the powerful ancient divine beast. Ah! Miserable screams rang out in the night sky. In the end, everything returned to normal. In the night sky, the crescent moon hung between the clouds, faintly discernible, and emitted a soft light. Chapter 2541. With a whoosh, the azure dragon returned to Xianyuan Mo's body. With its disappearance, the powerful ancient pressure in the air also disappeared. Emo-chen saw the scene in the sky from afar. Seeing Fengjiu and Xianyuan Mo standing side by side at the peak of the mountain, he immediately flew over on his sword. When he saw that not only was Tun Yun injured, but even Fengjiu was injured, his eyes narrowed. "Who injured you? We'll talk when we get back." Once Fengjiu spoke, Xianyuan Mo hugged her and flew back on his sword. Emo-chen glanced at the injured Tun Yun and brought it along, following behind Fengjiu and the others as they left. Inside the Feng Manor, Guan Xilin and the others became more and more anxious as they waited. They stood on the roof and looked into the distance. They walked back and forth on the roof as if time was slow. It was only when he saw a few figures in the distance approaching that he shouted, "They're back! They're back!" Xianyuan Mo was wearing a black robe, which was not very conspicuous in the night. Thus, others could not see if he was injured or not. However, Fengjiu was wearing a red dress. Although the red dress was stained with blood and the color of the blood could not be seen, the cut on the dress was visible to everyone. "Xiao Jiu is injured." Guan Xilin's heart jumped. Seeing them enter the courtyard, he quickly jumped down from the roof and quickly arrived in front of them. Seeing that Fengjiu was covered in wounds, he quickly turned around and called, "Yiqing, quickly, help Xiao Jiu take care of her wounds." Yiqing also quickly walked over and supported Fengjiu, saying, "I'll help you take care of your wounds first." Before Fengjiu could speak, Xianyuan Mo said, "No need, I'll do it." With that, he brought her into the room. Seeing the two of them enter the room, Guan Xilin asked, "Emo-chen, do you know who attacked them? How did Xiao Jiu get injured like that? With her immortal emperor cultivation, how could she be injured? Could it be that the attacker was stronger than her?" Everyone's gaze fell on Emo-chen. They did not go, so they did not know the situation, but Emo-chen should know more or less. By the time I arrived, those people had already been killed by Mo's. I only know that those people were very strong. One of them was an immortal emperor. He paused and thought, "I'm guessing that those people are not from the upper continents." Not from the upper continent. Moses' voice was strange. If they were not from the upper continents, then where did they come from? Although the great roaming continent occupies a large area, everyone knows how many immortal emperors there are. What's more, in addition to more than 10 immortal sage cultivators, there was also an immortal emperor who attacked them tonight. This shows that the force that attacked them is extremely powerful. Hearing this, everyone gasped. More than 10 immortal sage cultivators. It was already unbelievable that there was an immortal emperor, but there were more than 10 immortal sages. Chapter 2542. Ling Hua listened to Imochen as he applied medicine on Tun Yun's wounds. He paused for a moment and asked, since they're not from the upper reaches, who could they be? Could they be from overseas? But Master has never been to those places, so how could she have offended them? Why would those people want to kill her? Guan Shilin was deep in thought. His gaze involuntarily fell on little Hao who was in the cradle. He said hesitantly, Xiao Jiu once said that little Hao background is mysterious and not simple. Could those people be after little Hao Everyone fell silent when they heard this. Logically speaking, Fengjiu had been building up his power in the upper reaches ever since he arrived and did not have any enmity with anyone from other regions. Why would they send a dozen celestial sage experts and an immortal emperor to kill her? Could it be that the child she adopted really caused this disaster? Imochen did not say anything. He only looked at the child in the cradle. They did not know if it was as they had guessed. However, he felt that even if they did not know, Fengjiu would know. Ling Hua brought some water into the room and left at Xianyuan Mo's signal. Let me help you take off your clothes first. As Xianyuan Mo spoke, he looked at the dark red color on her red clothes and couldn't help but frown slightly. His hands carefully helped her take off her clothes, trying his best not to pull on the wounds on her body. Feng Jiu responded and cooperated by taking off her clothes, leaving only her innermost dudu to cover her body. However, even though there was boundless spring scenery in front of him right now, Xianyuan Mo's didn't have the heart to admire it. His gaze landed on the wounds on her body, and when he saw that some of the wounds were flipped open and seemed to be very deep, a sinister and cold glint flashed across his deep, dark eyes. The person he cherished was injured to this extent right under his nose. It would not be enough even if those people died 100 times. Can't the green lotus in your body heal your wounds? Try to use the power of the green lotus to heal your wounds first. He suppressed the murderous intent in his heart and spoke slowly to her. Feng Jiu was thinking about something. After hearing his words, she responded, Okay. She closed her eyes and placed her hands in front of her dantian. She mobilized the green lotus aura in her body and used the recovery power of the green lotus to heal her wound. However, as time passed, sweat beaded on her forehead and her face became increasingly pale. However, the wounds on her body did not show any signs of healing. Xianyuan Mo's heart sank as he watched from the side. He faintly sensed something. At this moment, Feng Jiu opened her eyes and dispersed the aura of the green lotus around her body. After taking a deep breath, she raised her head and looked at him. Her clear eyes met his deep black eyes. I can't repair them. The aura of the green lotus and the aura of every wound on my body repel each other like magnets, so I can't repair them. As she said this, her heart also calmed down, and her original guess was confirmed at this moment. Those people came for the chaotic green lotus in your body. Xianyuan Mo spoke in a low voice as he took out medicine to clean her wounds. Then, he applied the medicine she had specially made for knife wounds. He took out a strip of cloth and carefully bandaged every wound with the medicine. Chapter 2543. Only a few people know that I have the primal chaos lotus in my body. I also believe that these people would not tell anyone else about it. Furthermore, these people are clearly not from the upper reaches, yet they know that I have the primal chaos lotus. Then, a thought surfaced in her mind, but she was unwilling to believe her own guess. Xianyuan Mo glanced at her. His deep voice was solemn as he said, If these people did not know about it, then it's very likely that someone fell into their hands and found out about the primal chaos lotus whereabouts. He paused and asked, "Aside from me, who else knows that you have the primal chaos lotus?" "Elder Hun Yuan and Zhuo Junyue." She paused and her eyes flashed. "There's another person. It's the mysterious old man who gave me the primal chaos lotus back then. Elder Hun Yuan risked his life to protect you, and he's currently recuperating in the Nebula Immortal sect. Naturally, it can't be him. As for Zhuo Junyue..." He paused and looked at her. "Zhuo Junyue has always been in the Feng manor. Also, I believe that he's not someone who would betray me," Fengjiu slowly said. She lowered her head and touched the wound on her dantian with her finger. "Those people wanted to dig out the primal chaos lotus from my body." As she said this, her lips curled slightly, and a cold light appeared in her eyes. "Since that old man gave me the primal chaos lotus back then, he would not have told those people that the primal chaos lotus was in my body. Even if he died, he would not have told them." Her eyes were gloomy, and her expression was cold. "However, since those people were able to find me and know that the primal chaos lotus is in my body, they must have found out about it. As such, I'm guessing that the old man who swept the floor back then probably died in their hands." "Soul-searching technique," Xianyuan Mose slowly said. He looked at her and said, "They must have used the soul-searching technique to find out about it." The two of them guessed and analyzed the situation. However, they did not know that the situation was roughly as they had guessed. Back then, the mysterious old man who swept the floor of the Peach Blossom Cove had fallen into the hands of those people. Those people used a soul-searching technique to find out the whereabouts of the chaotic green lotus, and from there, they found Fengjiu. This injury is very strange. The power of the green lotus can't heal it. Fengjiu's gaze fell on the injury on his body and he frowned. "It seems that they came prepared. I will get the people from Yandian to investigate and find out the origins of these people," Xianyuan Mose said as he turned and went into the suitcase to help her take out another set of clothes. "Put on your clothes first." "Yes," she responded and put on her clothes with his help. However, when she tugged at the wound on her body, a slight pain came from the wound. "You lie on the bed." Xianyuan Mose didn't let her go out, but helped her to lie on the bed in the inner room. "Tell them not to worry too much." Xianyuan Mose nodded, then walked out of the room and opened the door. When the people who were waiting in the courtyard saw the door open, they hurried forward. "How is it? Is the wound serious?" Xianyuan Mose turned slightly to the side to let them in. "It's already been bandaged. Now lying on the bed to rest, there shouldn't be any major problems. Don't worry." Chapter 2544. "We're not sure yet," Xianyuan Mose said as he walked in. Guan Shilin and the others quickly walked into the room and saw Fengjiu lying on the bed with a pale face. They couldn't help but worry. "Xiaojiu, are your wounds serious? Why are you so pale?" "I'm fine. They're just superficial wounds. I'll be fine after some rest." She smiled and comforted them, telling them not to worry. Emochin walked up and saw that she didn't look too well. He came to the bedside and said, "Give me your hand. I'll take a look." Fengjiu chuckled. "Have you forgotten that I'm also a doctor? I know my own body. It's not a problem." Hearing this, Emochin didn't speak again. He just stared deeply at her for a moment, then looked away. "We were just discussing outside. We wondered if the people who suddenly attacked you were after Hao," Guan Shilin said as he looked at Fengjiu's expression. She was slightly stunned, then shook her head and smiled. "No, it's someone else. And I'm afraid that they won't be easy to deal with." Judging from the strength of those people, this was definitely just a test. If it was an attack, the next ones would definitely be stronger. There were always people who attacked her. She wasn't afraid of the enemy's strength, but she didn't expect this to happen when she decided to bring Feng Yi back. Facing such a strong opponent again, she was a little worried. She was worried that it would implicate her family. That had already happened once, and she didn't want it to happen again. But why did you two go to that place? I heard from Emochin that it's quite a distance from here, and it's the highest mountain in this area. Logically speaking, with your strength and Xianyuan by your side, you shouldn't have been injured. Guan Shilin was a little puzzled. He also didn't understand this. With Xianyuan Mo's protection and her strength, how could anyone hurt her? Fengjiu smiled when he heard that. I heard that the scenery there was pretty good, so I went there. However, I didn't expect that the people devouring clouds saved were the accomplices of those people. They approached us with ulterior motives. Those two injured me when I wasn't paying attention, so the only serious injury on my body is this wound in my dantian. Seeing that she was still smiling, Guan Shilin couldn't help but frown. How can you still smile when you're injured like this? Why did you save those people? I had a moment of kindness, thinking that it would be a piece of cake. However, I didn't expect to save a wolf instead of a sheep. She didn't really care. Even if she had to do it again, she would still let Tun Yun take a look. After all, if it was really a weak woman who encountered such a thing, the outcome could be imagined. Although she was cold-hearted, she was not heartless. Under the premise that her strength allowed her to do so, she naturally would not leave him in the lurch. With her strength, cultivation, and status, if she left him in the lurch, what was the difference between her and those evil cultivators who didn't care about human lives? You all go back and rest. I'm a little tired, I want to sleep for a while. She said softly and told them to go back and rest. Seeing the tiredness between her eyebrows, they nodded, told her to rest well and recuperate from her wounds, and left first. However, after Guan Shilin and the others left, Emochin still stood there without moving. Fengjiu was slightly surprised and looked at him. Is there anything else? Chapter 2545. Yes, it's different from before. But I've already applied medicine, so it should be fine. She spoke slowly. She didn't feel anything when she didn't mention the wound, but when she did, she felt a burning sensation. Was the wound infected? That's impossible, right? She was lost in her thoughts, forgetting that Emochin was still standing by the bed. Seeing her expression, Emochin glanced at Xianyuan Mo's and asked, Have you seen the wound? Is there anything strange? Xianyuan Mo's heart skipped a beat. He glanced at Fengjiu and said to Emochin, Her body is different from ordinary people. It has the ability to heal itself, but this time the wound didn't heal. He paused, then continued, I've already applied medicine. Let's wait and see tomorrow. We'll know when I change the dressing tomorrow. Hearing both of them say this, Emochin didn't say anything else. He just nodded, then I'll go back first. I'll come back tomorrow to see her. He turned to Fengjiu, who seemed to be thinking about something, and said gently, Have a good rest. I'll come and see you tomorrow. Yes. Fengjiu came back to her senses and responded. He turned and walked out. You sleep first. I'll go out and tell them. As Xianyuan Mo spoke, he went outside and instructed Ying Yi to get his subordinates to investigate this matter. When he returned to the room, he saw that she had already fallen asleep, so he went to take a bath first. After changing out of his blood-stained robes, he returned to the room, took off his outer robes, and laid down beside her. After midnight, the sky gradually darkened. Xianyuan Mo suddenly opened his eyes and looked at Fengjiu in his arms. Ajiu? Ajiu? What's wrong? The room was not lit by candles, but by a luminous pearl. The light was soft and not dazzling. At this time, under the soft light of the luminous pearl, he saw that Fengjiu's forehead was sweating. Her face was red, but her lips were pale. He quickly got up, put on his coat and called out, Ying Yi, go get Emochin. When Ying Yi, who was guarding outside, heard this, he immediately responded, Yes. His figure flashed and quickly went to Nalan Mansion. In another courtyard of the estate, Tun Yun seemed to be in discomfort. It rolled around on the ground and roared, waking everyone in the estate. Ling Hua, Du Fan, and the others rushed over and saw it rolling on the ground and howling. They hurriedly asked, "Tun Yun, what happened to you?" The wound hurts." It lay on the ground, motionless, as if it had lost all its strength. Even its eyes were closed, and it groaned from time to time. Their hearts sank when they saw Tun Yun in such a state. Fan Lin, one of the 8 leaders of the Phoenix Guards, quickly walked over and examined Tun Yun. When he opened Tun Yun's wounds and saw that they were suffused with a black aura, he could not help but be alarmed. How could this be? His expression changed greatly, as if he had thought of something. He immediately looked at Ling Hua and the others. "You guys stay here and look after Tun Yun. I'll go check on Master." Master was also injured. Would it be like Tun Yun? The wound was suffused with a black aura? Is it poison? Ling Hua asked worriedly as he followed him to the main courtyard. "It doesn't look like poison," Fan Lin said as he quickened his pace. Chapter 2546. After putting on his outer robe and preparing to take action, he heard a familiar voice. "Young Master Mo Chin, I am Ing Yi. My master is asking you to come over immediately." Ing Yi jumped off the roof and landed outside his room. He lowered his voice and called out. Hearing this, Mo Chin slightly wrinkled his brow. He flicked his finger to light the room and put on his clothes. He tied up his hair and walked out. Opening the door, he saw that the person outside was indeed Ing Yi. "What happened?" he asked as he gathered his energy and jumped onto the roof towards the Feng Manor. Ing Yi followed closely behind him and said, "It seems that something happened to the ghost doctor. As for the specifics, I'm not sure." In the Feng Manor, in the main courtyard, in a side room, Xianyuan Mo's opened up a wound on Fengjiu's body to examine it. When he saw that the wound that had already been treated had not healed and was instead slightly swollen and emitting a black aura, his heart sank. His handsome face was cold and his lips were tightly pursed. Looking at Fengjiu, who was already unconscious from the heat, he got up and went outside to get a basin of water. He used a small handkerchief to wipe away the sweat on her forehead. He then soaked it in cold water and placed it on her forehead to cool it down. The sound of footsteps came from outside. Immediately after, Guan Shilin's worried voice could be heard. "Xianyuan, how is Xiaojiu? Is it serious? Swallowing Cloud's situation isn't too good. How is Xiaojiu right now? Come in." Xianyuan Mo's voice came from outside. The people outside followed Guan Shilin inside. In an instant the room was filled with people. The 8 leaders of the Feng Guards, as well as Ling Hua, Du Fan, Guan Shilin, and Yi Qing, filled the room with more than 10 people. On the bed, Fengjiu's body was covered with blanket. A cold towel was placed on her forehead. Her face was red from the heat, but her lips were pale. With so many people coming in, she did not open her eyes. Her eyebrows were slightly furrowed, and her expression carried a bit of pain. "Let me take a look." Fan Lin, who was knowledgeable in medicine, stepped forward to take Fengjiu's pulse and check her wounds. After a while, he said to Xianyuan Mo's with a serious expression, "Just like Hengyun, there are no signs of poisoning, but the wounds are slightly swollen and there is a black aura permeating the wounds. My knowledge is shallow and I don't know where this black aura comes from, so I can't treat the symptoms. Looks like it's because of the black qi on the wound." Guan Shilin said, in the past, even if Xiaojiu was injured, he could recover quickly. "This is the first time I've encountered a situation like this. Then what should we do? If we don't treat her, wouldn't it be?" Yi Qing was a little worried. If Fengjiu was awake, it would be fine, but now that she had clearly lost consciousness, wouldn't it be even more serious if they continued to waste time? Emo Chen follows the Elder of Heavenly Secrets and is skilled in medicine. I've already sent Ing Yi to invite him over. As Xianyuan Mo spoke, his gaze fell on Fengjiu's face on the bed. Seeing that her brows were furrowed and she was not sleeping peacefully, he took the cold towel and soaked it in cold water, then placed it on her forehead. Leng Hua saw this and came forward to take the water away, then replaced it with a basin of water. Seeing her master like this, she didn't know how to help, so she could only quietly stand to the side. Master, young Master Emo Chen has come. Ing Yi's voice came from the door. Everyone in the room looked towards the door and saw Emo Chen stride in. Chapter 2547. The wound has worsened, and there is a black aura floating about. Come and take a look, Xianyuan Mo said, gesturing for him to come forward. Emo Chen came to the bedside and saw that Fengjiu was already unconscious, but he was not sleeping peacefully. His face was red and sweaty, and his lips were pale and colorless. He immediately went forward to check the wound, and sure enough, the wound was slightly swollen, and there was a black aura floating about. Are all the wounds on his body the same? He looked at Xianyuan Mo's and asked. Hearing this, Xianyuan Mo said, I opened 2 wounds, and they are all the same. Emo Chen helped Fengjiu feel his pulse. When his fingers touched his pulse, he frowned and turned to look at the others, saying, You all can leave first. Seeing this, Guan Shilin and the others left first, allowing him to calm down and treat Fengjiu. However, seeing that Fengjiu's condition had not stabilized, they felt uneasy. The Fire Phoenix and Lao Bai, who were guarding the Heavenly Pill building, seemed to have sensed something. After asking the people of the Heavenly Pill building, they quickly rushed back to the Feng Manor. When they entered the Feng Manor, they saw that everyone was standing in the main courtyard, pacing back and forth, looking at the rooms from time to time. The 2 beasts quickly went forward. Did something happen? Where is my master? Lao Bai asked. He wanted to go into the room, but he was stopped by Guan Shilin. The Fire Phoenix next to him stared at the closed door of the room. It flapped its wings and landed on the table. No one knew what it was thinking. She is injured, and her condition is not good. Don't go in first. Emo Chen and Xianyuan are inside, Guan Shilin said. Fan Lin and the others said, Tun Yun's condition is similar to Fengjiu's. Think of a way to send it here. Okay. The 8 leaders of the Phoenix Guards responded and turned to leave. The Fire Phoenix saw that it could not enter the room, so it followed the 8 Phoenix Guards to see Tun Yun. Lao Bai saw this and quickly followed. In the room, Emo Chen looked at Xianyuan Mo's and said, She has the aura of the Primal Chaos Lotus in her body. The Primal Chaos Lotus should be in her body. Hearing this, Xianyuan Mo's did not say anything, and only responded, Yes. He also felt it just now. It seemed that because her wounds had worsened, the green lotus in her body automatically emitted the green lotus chi. However, that chi was very weak, and ordinary people would not be able to detect it. If I'm not wrong, the person who attacked you tonight should be aiming for the Primal Chaos Green Lotus in her body. Emo Chen sighed softly and said, Furthermore, her enemies are very strong. The Black Lotus of Destruction is in their hands. The black chi on her wound is not poisonous, but the chi of the Black Lotus of Destruction. Xianyuan Mo's deep black eyes flashed, and he asked, Do you have a way to remove the black aura from her wounds? As long as the aura was removed, the Primal Chaos Lotus in her body would repair itself, and it would be much easier to heal her wounds. Emo Chen smiled and warmly said, What you should be thankful for is that the people you met tonight are not the one with the Black Lotus of Destruction. The aura of the Black Lotus of Destruction in their weapons is limited, so the situation won't be too serious. He paused and said to Xianyuan Mo's, Help her up. I will use my power to remove the aura of the Primal Chaos Lotus. Chapter 2548. Chen, who was standing by the bed, began to circulate his technique. His body emitted a white light, and the aura formed by the light flowed into his palms. He pressed his palms together and pressed his palms against Fengzhou's back, sending the aura into her body. If someone could see through things, they would see that the white aura that Chen had sent into Fengzhou's meridians flowed slowly and dispersed in all directions. The black aura that was resisting the green lotus aura in Fengzhou's body was gradually forced to flow through his meridians under the influence of the white aura. As time passed, Xianyuan Mo saw a black aura faintly diffuse from the bandages on Fengzhou's body. The black aura seeped into the clothes, rose from the wound, and disappeared into the air. As the wisps of black aura dissipated, Fengzhou, whose body was originally hot and face flushed red with sweat, gradually recovered. However, her face was faintly pale. Chen's forehead was also sweating. Because he had been circulating his technique, his aura was weak. After a long while, he cleared the black aura from Fengzhou's body. Then, he retracted his aura and exhaled. The green lotus in her body is circulating on its own. Don't worry, she'll be fine soon. Chen said slowly. Looking at the faint green aura on Fengzhou's body, he said, I'll go take a look at Swallow the Cloud. Fengzhou is already like this, it's probably the same. You just cleared the black aura from her body. If you use it again, it might be too much for her, Xianyuan Mo said. There's no other way. This technique was passed down to me by my master. Other than me, no one else can clear the black aura from the black lotus of destruction, he said with a smile. He wiped the sweat off his forehead and turned to leave. As Xianyuan Mo watched him turn around and walk out, he said, Thank you. Hearing this, Chen turned to look at him in surprise and smiled. You don't have to thank me. This is what I should do. Alright, take good care of her. It's best if you remove all the bandages on her body. Okay. Xianyuan Mo replied. Seeing him leave, he called out, Leng Shuang, come in. When the people outside saw Chen come out, they quickly surrounded him and asked, How is she? How is she? Don't worry, she should be fine, he said, looking at Swallow the Cloud who was lying on the ground. Ling Shuang, Yama Lord. When she came to the inner room, her gaze naturally fell on her master, Fengzhou. She wanted to see how she was doing. Go get a basin of hot water. Xianyuan Mo ordered as he took off Fengzhou's clothes and removed all the bandages on her wounds. When he saw that the black aura on the wounds had disappeared and was replaced by a faint green aura, he secretly breathed a sigh of relief. Yes. Leng Shuang answered and hurriedly went out again. Not long after, she brought a bucket of hot water from the kitchen. Then she put some in a basin and sent it to the bed. Chapter 2549. Ling Shuang retreated, closed the door, and relayed Xianyuan Mo's words to the others. Outside, Chen was treating Fengyun's injuries. Inside the room, Xianyuan Mo cleaned Fengzhou's wounds. Seeing that they were healing at a speed visible to the naked eye under the chi of the green lotus, he took an inner garment and put it on her. The deeper wounds healed more slowly, while the shallower ones healed slowly. However, thinking of Chen's words just now, he did not feel relaxed. The black lotus of destruction? That black lotus of destruction could not even suppress the green lotus? Tonight, these people were not the ones with the black lotus. Then, if one day they met the one with the black lotus, what would happen? Water, in a daze. Fengzhou felt that her mouth was a little dry. She wanted to open her eyes, but her eyelids were very heavy. She did not even have the strength to open them. Hearing her call for water, Xianyuan Mo got out of bed and poured a cup of water for her. He brought it to her lips and said, Ah Jiao, here's the water. Drink some. He did not know whether she heard him or not. Fengzhou opened her mouth slightly and drank the water. After drinking the cup of water, she fell into a deep sleep. Because he was worried about the deep wound in her dantian, he did not dare to sleep. He sat by the bed and watched over her. From time to time, he checked whether the heat in her body had dissipated. From time to time, he looked at the wound in her dantian to see if it had healed. Throughout the night, he did not rest. It was not until the next morning when the first ray of sunlight shone through the window that he sat by the bedside and touched the short and prickly beard that had grown on his chin. Then, he got up and went to wash up. After washing up, he returned to the bedside to check on Feng Jiu again. Seeing that she had recovered in all aspects, and even the wound on her dantian had disappeared under the healing energy of the green lotus, he revealed a smile. He walked out and saw Ling Shuang waiting outside. He asked, "How's the cloud-swallowing technique?" "After Emo Chen treated him last night, we bandaged Tun Yun's wound. This morning, I took a look at it. The redness and swelling on the wound has disappeared, and it has returned to normal. However, it will take at least 2 or 3 days for the wound to recover." Hearing this, Xianyuan Mose nodded and instructed, "Go and get the kitchen to prepare some food and send it over." "Yes." Lung Shuang responded, but he didn't move. Instead, he asked, "Yama Lord, my master, she's fine now. She just hasn't woken up yet," Xianyuan Mose said as he walked inside. Hearing his words, Ling Shuang felt relieved. She was about to walk quickly to the side room and tell her what her master liked to eat. However, at this time, Xianyuan Mose called again. "Wait. Yama Lord, is there anything else?" Ling Shuang turned around and asked. "Other than some plain porridge, tell the kitchen to prepare some nourishing food." "Yes." Ling Shuang responded and left quickly. Feng Jiu woke up at the end of the morning. She didn't know what happened after she fell asleep last night. Therefore, when she woke up, she lifted her clothes and saw that her wound had recovered. Moreover, there were no bandages on her wound. She couldn't help but be startled. "It's all healed?" Chapter 2550. Fengjiu looked at her wounds and said, "Why did I feel like my wounds worsened last night?" She looked strangely at the wounds that had already healed and asked, "Why did they suddenly heal?" "Last night, your wounds really did worsen. I had Yi call Emo Chen over. He helped you remove the black aura of the Black Lotus of Destruction from your wounds." "Black Lotus of Destruction?" She was startled and could not help but look up at him. "That's right, the Black Lotus of Destruction." Xianyuan Mose's deep gaze fell on her body and said, "Last night, your wounds worsened. Every wound was filled with a black aura. You also lost consciousness. Emo Chen saw you later and said that the aura of the Black Lotus of Destruction accelerated the deterioration of your wounds." Hearing this, Fengjiu's eyes moved slightly. "The Black Lotus of Destruction is not ordinary. The aura of the Black Lotus of Destruction permeated my wounds. How did Emo Chen remove it?" "He said that his master taught him a set of techniques. He used this set of techniques to help you and Tun Yun remove the aura of the Black Lotus. He also said that those people's weapons were only tainted with the aura of the Black Lotus. They were not the ones who possessed the Black Lotus. But one thing is certain, the people who wanted to steal the chaotic green lotus in your body were very powerful." Fengjiu pondered. After a while, she said to Xianyuan Mose, "If that's the case, I want my brother to take Feng Yi and the others back first. Then he will send Feng Yi and Yang Yang to their master at Wudong Mountain. As for me, I don't think it's appropriate for me to go back now." Hearing this, Xianyuan Mose looked at her and asked, "You're worried that if you go back now, those people will act against your father and the others?" "Yes." She nodded. "It's rare for them to have peace there. I don't want them to be in danger because of me and worry them." "All right. If that's the case, wash up first. I'll get someone to call your brother over." As he spoke, he reached out to tuck the strands of hair that had fallen on her cheeks behind her ears. Then, he turned around and walked out. Knowing that she had woken up, Du Fan and the others came over early. Guan Shilin, who came with Yi Qing, looked at Ing Yi and asked, "Did your master say anything?" "No, but don't worry, the ghost doctor is fine. She should have something else to do," Shadowy said as he walked forward. Not long after, they arrived at the main courtyard. Xianyuan Mose walked out first. He looked at Ling Hua and asked, "Is Emo Chen in the Fu?" "Yes, he used up a lot of energy last night, so I arranged for him to rest in the mansion." Xianyuan Mose nodded and looked at Guan Shilin. "Have a seat. She has something to tell you." "Is she okay?" Guan Shilin asked. Before Xianyuan Mose could speak, Lao Bai's voice came from the room. "Master is fine, don't worry." As soon as it finished speaking, it walked out of the room, followed by the fire phoenix that flapped its wings and flew out. "She'll be out in a moment," Xianyuan Mose said and took a sip of the tea in front of him. Chapter 25:51. Seeing that her aura had returned to normal and that she was in good spirits, they were relieved. "I asked you to come here because I have something to arrange." Her gaze swept across everyone and finally landed on Guan Shilin. "Brother, because we haven't found out who the people who attacked me are, I've decided not to go back for now. However, I want you to take Feng Yi and Zhao Yang back, and let the family take a good look at Feng Yi before sending them back to Wudong Mountain." Hearing this, Guan Shilin was startled. "So, you don't plan to go back?" "Yes." She nodded. "I'm worried that if I go back, I'll bring trouble to the family, so I want you to send them back. As for us, we can't go back now." She didn't want to disturb the peaceful life of her family, nor did she want to bring danger to them. Therefore, she was the only one who wouldn't bring danger to the Phoenix dynasty. Seeing this, Guan Shilin put on a serious expression and said in a low voice, "Yes, don't worry. I'll bring them both back. Then you and Yi Qing pack up first. I'll go to Emo Chen's place first and find you later. As for Du Fan and the rest, you can go back to the Heavenly Pill House first." "Okay." Guan Shilin replied and left with Yi Qing. "Master, we'll go back to the building first." They bowed and turned to leave. "Lao Bai, you go too." Feng Jiu glanced at Lao Bai. I'll go too?" Lao Bai was slightly startled and glanced at the fire phoenix. Seeing that it had stopped on the table and didn't move, he muttered and walked out. Seeing that they had all left, Feng Jiu and Xianyuan Mose let Ling Hua lead the way to the courtyard where Emo Chen was resting. In the side room of the courtyard, Emo Chen had been sitting cross-legged to adjust his aura since he entered the room last night. When he heard a knock on the door, he exhaled softly and withdrew his aura into his body before opening his eyes. "Come in." When Feng Jiu heard the conversation from inside, he pushed the door open and walked in with Xianyuan Mose. "Emo Chen, I have something to ask you." Feng Jiu came to the inner room and watched him walk out slowly. Only then did he sit down at the table in the outer room with him. Xianyuan Mose glanced at Emo Chen. Seeing that his complexion was much better than last night, he nodded slightly at him. "You want to ask me about the Black Lotus of Destruction?" Emo Chen sat down at the table. Not long after, Ling Hua outside served them tea. "That's right." Feng Jiu looked at him and asked, "Do you know what this Black Lotus of Destruction is?" Hearing this, Emo Chen smiled gently. He picked up the teacup in front of him and used the lid to gently scrape the tea leaves floating on top. After taking a sip, he put down the teacup and said, "Since you have the Green Lotus of Chaos, you should naturally know about this Black Lotus of Destruction." Feng Jiu frowned slightly. "I only know that there were 4 lotus seeds in ancient times. One was the Green Lotus of Good Fortune, the second was the Golden Lotus of Merit, the third was the Red Lotus of Hellfire, and the fourth was the Black Lotus of Destruction. These 4 lotus seeds all grew from the heart of the Green Lotus of Chaos. However, the Green Lotus of Chaos is with me. Why would the Black Lotus of Destruction appear at this time?" Chapter 2552. But where did the Black Lotus of Annihilation come from? And whose hands did it fall into? The Black Lotus of Annihilation is not an evil lotus. It depends on who has it, Emotion said slowly. He looked at Fengjiu and said, When I go back this time, my master asked me to tell you that when the ancient lotus seeds appear, you have to collect them. Other than the chaotic green lotus, there are 4 other lotus seeds scattered around. The chaotic green lotus is the leader of the 4 lotuses and has the ability to suppress them. You have to do this. Suppress them? But why did I see her surrounded by the aura of the black lotus last night, but the aura of the chaotic green lotus in her body could not even suppress the aura of the black lotus on her wounds? Hearing this, Emo Chen's gaze fell on Fengjiu and said, The chaotic green lotus in your body must not have bloomed yet, right? An immature chaotic green lotus only has the ability to heal some simple wound. Only when the chaotic green lotus is fully grown will it have the ability to revive all things, suppress the 4 lotuses, and purify them. As he said this, he took out a brocade pouch from his space. He held it in his hand and looked at it for a while before handing it to Fengjiu. My master asked me to give this to you when I came back. Fengjiu was slightly surprised. She opened it and looked at it. Her expression couldn't help but become a little strange. Why does it say that I have to go to Penglai Immortal Island by myself? She looked at Emotion and asked, What kind of place is this Penglai Immortal Island? Why is there a stairway to immortality? And you want me to go alone? After saying this, she instinctively looked at Xianyuan Mo's. Going alone, didn't that mean that he could not go with her? Did this mean that the 2 of them had to separate again? Penglai Immortal Island? Emotion was startled. He shook his head and said, I've never heard of this place. I don't even know where it is. Is this a map or an array formation on the back? She inadvertently saw an array formation map on the back and was a little dazzled. Xianyuan Mose took a look at it and furrowed his brows. This is the map of the array. If you want to know the map of the array, you have to first break the array and then look at the map. If I'm not mistaken, this map should be the map of Penglai. Did your master say what he wanted me to do in this place? Fengjiu looked at Emochen and asked. No. Emochen replied, however, my master always has his reasons for doing things. Since he asked you to go to that place, I believe there must be a reason as well. His voice paused slightly as he pondered. Moreover, even I have never heard of this place. I'm afraid this place is very extraordinary. When he saw this, Fengjiu looked at Xianyuan Mose, and his gaze moved down to the brocade pouch in Xianyuan Mose's hand. After a short while he said, Let's go back. I still have to make arrangements with my brother and the others. As he spoke, he looked at Emochen and smiled. I'll take this brocade pouch back and study it. As for whether or not I should listen to your master, I'll have to think about it again. Emochen replied, Then I'll go back first. If there's anything, tell them to find me. I will, Fengjiu said, and then said to Linghua, Send Emochen off. Yes, Linghua replied, and gestured for Emochen to follow him out. A few days later Xuanyuan Mose originally wanted her to quietly leave the city, but who would have thought that Fengjiu would ride on Tun Yun's back? She didn't use her sword and just swaggered through the city's outer gate, as if she wanted to let everyone know that she had left the Heavenly Pill House's 100 Rivers city. Xianyuan Mose, who knew her intentions, wanted to send people to protect her, but she refused. She hoped to attract all the hidden forces to her. That way, they wouldn't have time to deal with the Heavenly Pill House or Xianyuan Mose. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.